Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be looking at what is hot in Korea this patch and taking over solo queue. We've got some new builds, some new picks, and sadly a lot of tanks. So let's jump into it. By the way, in case you did not see yesterday, we're going to do basically a week of giveaways on the channel as a thank you for putting up with sponsors. So as normal, just leave a comment, like the video if you do, to enter this video's 2x $25 RP giveaway. Now, first up, two quicker mentions of what are probably the strongest by far over there at the moment. Kassadin is the first one. At the moment, he is banned in almost 80% of games, mainly just because he's such a beast solo queue champion. He can roam really well, he scales really well into the game, so he's good later, and he can actually one-shot people, which kind of eliminates the counterplay, I guess. It is also partly to do with teleport, so you know, like those swings that sometimes happen, sometimes you get lucky with, you're in the right place at the right time. Well, teleport kind of makes that a lot easier. It's also if you fall behind in the laner phase with bad trades and stuff, while TP covers that up as well, so it just makes your life a lot easier. As well with Korea, if you ever want to know what can solo carry a game, right, you look at Korea's ban list. Basically, they love to play solo carry champions, and people hate losing to that, so they end up getting banned all the time. The mid lane hasn't really changed that much over there on this patch. Like, it's still Maokai, Orianna, Kassadin, Ari, and Twisted Fate that dominate the meta. Caitlyn is another one just like Kassadin though. In almost 70% of games she is banned actually, and played in almost all of the others. That is how ridiculous it is. Despite being played so much and banned so much, she still has the highest win rate except Draven, which is absolutely nuts. Partly it's static shiv actually, which is so good with rapid fire cannon and infinity edge. The damage is crazy. Like, when you deal 50k damage in a game, right, and 15% of that is your shiv damage, you know something is definitely wrong. She's also just very good at early game, which means you get a good lead, but then you're really good late game and take over anyway. You shouldn't really have a good early game and a good late game. Anyway, now we're going to move on to the newcomers, so the ones that weren't as strong last patch. Fiora is going to be the first one, and I know she's always popular, but the big difference here is how good she is at lower ranks, something that stat websites are not really going to track properly. A big reason why for this is the Trinity Force build now that's very popular, because Black Cleaver has been nerfed, so we're going to go Hydra into Trinity Force. The main things to look at really is she's winning more matchups against Darius, Renekton, Riven, and Yasuo, like with this new Trinity Force build. That is kind of why she's jumped up. You also have to remember that because she's one of the best late game champions you can actually play, like if you get ahead earlier now with the Trinity Force build and stuff, you start to snowball, it's actually much more dangerous to play against her. As we said, Hydra, Trinity Force, Guardian Angel is normally the core over there. Sometimes they get a Bloodthirster as well, but Trinity with your Sheen and Phage is insane. The item is kind of perfect for her when you think about it. She has the cooldown reduction, she has the attack speed, and she has more burst damage, which is perfect. Another really big thing is the general meta actually. So tanks in the jungle mean that we want a damaged top lane. Fiora is going to fit that perfectly, which is great, but she also beats tanks on the enemy team, either top lane or in the jungle. Her win rate is actually really bad early game, but it's so good late game, it more than makes up for it. This is actually kind of the good version of something strong. She's really good, but has an obvious weak phase early you can kind of exploit. Overall, you've got this really strong split pusher who is naturally good versus tanks, and we're moving a bit more to the tank meta, I think. Like, Trinity Force is what's making her better this patch though. The next one I kind of thought might happen, but now the EAP cheese version is kind of out. He's actually pretty good. Maokai both for top and support. Both of these are tank versions, but we'll look at the top lane today. Like, we have a super tank with an overloaded kit. If you think about it, we have some damage, but a crap ton of crowd control in legit like every single spell you have. He even beats Fiora at the moment actually, which probably shouldn't happen. Renekton, Riven are okay as well. Darius and Yasuo not so much, but that's kind of expected. I'm gonna be real, like his damage output per game is really bad, but he just doesn't die going full tank. Build is just that, like Sunfire, Visage, Frozen Heart. It is legit full tank, no damage at all, not even Iceborne. Courage of the Colossus is the most popular as well for your mastery choice, but Bond of Stone in theory is really good. It's not used that much in Korea at the moment, but when it is, it has a 65% win rate, so it is pretty good. But all of his spells can proc the heal, which means it's really good for team fights. You're actually really good late game when he can team fight properly. Not that amazing early, which is expected to be from a tank really, but once you group up, his CC is so good and it helps his team carry more. Overall, you're kind of spearheading this new league of tanks that's coming back a little bit. Like, he doesn't really care about damage, but he just doesn't ever die. That is what makes him so good. Sejuani is another tank. This time we're packing way more of a punch though. Sejuani is like the new damage tank, I guess. Your passive already does a ton. You throw an Iceborne in, which adds even more, and she has the crowd control to freeze you in place while she bashes you. It's not that easy to play against. Think of it this way: if you're against a Sejuani and you want to play a damaged jungler that isn't great naturally killing tanks like a Master Yi, then you probably just want to dodge the game. That is how good she is. It is funny, but Korea has really decided to exploit this new Synhulk buff actually this patch, rushing a Warmogs straight after it, so you legit have so much health. The reason this is so good is because health is kind of the counter to all damage. Like it absorbs AD or magic. It really doesn't matter. Basically with her passive on when she dives in, which gives her some bonus armor and magic resist, plus the health she has from her items, she takes forever to kill. Weirdly enough, for a tank jungler, she's one of the best early game junglers for this reason. She can dive into fights, last much longer than anybody else. It gives her team more time and makes her almost always win any 2v2 with the enemy jungler. She has proper weird runes as well at high elo though. So mixed pen reds, so that's lethality and magic pen on your reds, attack speed quints, CDR blues, and HP per level yellows. Overall, like behind Zac actually, she's probably the best ganking, tank, damage, crowd control jungler you can actually play. And to be honest, now is definitely the time to abuse it while you can. Now, our next one is for every elo, but especially lower rank. So games seem to be going a bit longer. I don't know if you've noticed it as well, but Jax is one of the best late game choices, and it's so easy to win with him. With these games going a bit longer, Jax is kind of there just to outscale everybody else, and that is why he's winning so much more. Looking at it, he either loses to other late game stuff like a Fiora, because Fiora can 1v1 block his stun with her riposte, or really ham stuff early like a Pantheon. I think he's probably the best top lane at the moment for bronze, silver, and maybe gold, I guess. Like, he gets out of control. Games don't normally end as fast. They get dragged out, which is perfect for a scaling champion. The build is also semi-tanky, right? At least like health stacking anyway, not as much armor and magic resist, but it means he can teamfight and he can fill that kind of bruiser role. But more importantly, he doesn't die as fast if you make a mistake. Once you get later game, you can either jump in and basically one-shot somebody, or you just push towers. Like, either works really well. Further battle definitely helps this whole thing like even more. Like 4 auto attacks to get it stacked, and he can reset those as well. You auto attack into a W reset, into another auto, into a Titanic reset. Like, that's less than 2 seconds to get 64 AD. I'm okay with that. Overall, you are an amazing late game champion who kind of outscales everybody else. Like, you demolish squishy targets and tanks, towers, but it's also simple to play, right? Which means you can focus on the actual game more. Now, our support for this video is going to be Taric, and it's legit entirely down to the meta shift that happened with this patch, at least for supports. Tanks come back up a little bit bot lane, right? And Taric is the tank counter in lane and team fights. Like, you can't engage on a Taric if he's good. Alistair, Braum, and even Rakan, I guess, are examples of that kind of dive in that Taric loves to play against, but I wouldn't pick him against damage, kind of like a Zyra or a Brand. Like, you'll never get close to them and they'll just poke you down. At the moment in Korea though, if a game goes past 40 minutes with a Taric in it, right, he's got a 60% chance to win, which is absolutely nuts. A lot of it is actually build, which is weird to say for a support, but like Locket and Knight's Vow buffs make his late game so good. Locket scales with health, right, and that's really easy to stack on a tank support now. Like, you have Ruby Sightstone, Face of the Mountain, Knight's Vow, even Redemption has health. His ultimate, when timed properly, is so good, plus a shield afterwards from Locket. Redemption heal after that provides like triple a carry's health bar maybe now to get through before they die. That is actually a big part of why his team fight is so good, but he is a counter to the meta, right? Don't play him against Zyra or Brand unless you hate yourself, but against tanks, he shuts them down and has a massive team fight impact. So I've been talking about Warwick for like so long, right? He's actually a lot better this patch though in Korea. Cinderhulk buffs must be a big reason. Nice little bit of extra health for doing literally nothing at all. He's kind of like the carry tank. It's really hard to explain. I don't know how to put it. Like, you deal damage, but you last longer than other damage junglers, so you win. In a nutshell, that is why it works, I guess. And most people over there use him as a soft Lee Sin counter. You have some crowd control to lock him down in fights. You have sustain to last a little bit longer and still have some damage when he has no defense, if that makes sense. So you can actually kill him. It's not like a hard counter. You don't just get a free win. But anyway, build-wise, Tiamat, Cinderhulk, and then Titanic. Nothing out of the ordinary, but Trinity Force is getting more popular over there. It has a really good win rate, especially for lower ranks actually. So if you want to go more like a carry build, I guess Trinity is really good. I'm still going to say he's the best low elo jungler you can play, but his late game is not the best, and that's the only real issue. It's like eventually your healing doesn't really mean much against an AD carry, especially with Mortal Reminder. They probably have a Guardian Angel or a QSS, so you can't dive in, and then you're basically like an engage and die. You kind of want to think of him like the carry jungler counter, I guess. Like, he's not very good versus tanks who out tank you, but he's easy to be effective with, does good damage, especially with Trinity Force. He can engage and he carries pretty hard. Now, you know the tank meta got real when Rammus jumps from like 20th to top 5 in one patch, and it's got to be Cinderhulk buffs and also Abyssal Mask buffs, I guess. Both will have helped him, but AD champions are way more popular everywhere at the moment, so it definitely makes it even worse to play against Rammus. Actually, it kind of gets worse. Like, this is Cinderhulk into Thornmail Rammus as well. There is no messing about. Just a quick thing as well about this whole like Thornmail stuff. Like, Thornmail is better with a higher health pool, so they attack for longer, you return more damage. So with Cinderhulk giving more health, it actually means it's better. There is no real surprise with a build like this that it's like Lee Sin and Master Yi Graves that he runs circles around, but at least kind of struggles with. The thing is with your build, even though you do get Mobies and you're supposed to gank a lot, like, you can still get invaded early. Your farming kind of sucks, I think, so you need team fights to really shine and not die. Early picks like Elise or Jarvan can set you too far behind and you'll be useless, but if they don't, you get your tank stacks, your kit now buffs all that up anyway even more, and you're so good to go. It's really weird, but you think of Rammus like you think of running around ganking, but actually he's worst early game and he gets better and better as the game goes on. I think it's mostly his crowd control and Thornmail that just makes him more useful in big fights, and he's really hard to deal with. This pick might not last forever. I think he'll probably disappear in a few patches, but he's a really good counter to AD champions. AD carry right now is an important role, like they're pretty strong, and our arm pen options suck ass, so we don't really have an answer to Rammus. Top and junglers, kind of the same thing. Black Cleaver got nerfed, not as many people are buying it now, or it just takes way too long to kill you. Anyway, that wraps up the video. As a quick recap, Kassadin and Caitlyn are by far the best in role, but AD carry and mid didn't really change much this patch. We've got Fiora's new Trinity Force build, Maokai is back, Sejuani, Jax, Taric, Warwick, and Rammus are all much better this patch. Hope you guys enjoyed the video though. Thank you for watching until the end, but for now, I'll leave you with the robots.
Robot.